Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the X-Rated Sports Network, where the takes get loud and the truth get exposed. Let's talk about it. X-Rated Sports Network.
If it's game time talk, we the ones who connect.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Where the hot takes live and the truth get checked. East Coast talk, West Coast swagger. Stats on the board, yeah, the debate get louder. No filter talk, yeah, we calling the play. If it's sports conversation, we leading the way. From the hardwood to the gridiron plays. Breaking every matchup, every headline debate.
X-Rated Sports Network.
Yeah, remember the name.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, a very special free agency edition of Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. It is Dwight Walton. It is Ashley Neville. It is Rick Kamla. We have Law Murray from The Athletic, covers the LA Clippers. Pretty big Kawhi Leonard trade. He will join us at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Let's dive in. Jaylen Brown was traded. Ashley and I were talking about it right before we came on. It kind of smacked me in the face like the Luka trade did. Like, what are you doing, Boston? Okay, so the trade is Jaylen Brown to Philly, Paul George to Boston. Woo! 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. We're not going to debate if Boston got fleeced. Of course they got fleeced. Our first debate, did Tatum win a power struggle against Brown? Ooh, it just got real in here, Ashley and Dwight. I'll go first. This is a big yes. 3 reasons for me. Number 1, star players are consulted on all major moves in today's NBA. If Tatum insisted on Brown staying, he would still be a Celtic. 2, Tatum stood by and watched as the Celtics tried to trade Jaylen Brown for Giannis while keeping Hugo and Baylor Shireman. Are you kidding me? Tatum stood by and watched as the Celtics dealt a 29-year-old Brown for a 36-year-old George. Yeah, I'm cool with that. How? Clearly downgrading their roster and their title hopes. 3, silence from the Tatum side. It's deafening right now. He has not gone on Brown's podcast. Kendrick Perkins has brought that up. And now that all this has happened, I'm kind of like, Perk, you had a point, dude. Tatum has said nothing about Brown publicly. Yo, man, he's my guy. We've been in the wars together. Not a peep. It's deafening, okay? The silence. The rise of Jaylen Brown clearly threatened Tatum's position as the franchise face in Boston. He didn't like it, in my opinion. And that's why the Celtics made this rushed, panicked move that might go down as the worst trade in Boston history, or one of them. It's one of the worst trades of the last 10 years in the NBA. I can tell you that, and I will die on that hill. Dwight Walton, come on in here. Did Tatum win a power struggle with Jaylen Brown?
Can I take a left turn on this question? I don't know if there was a power struggle. Now listen, should Jayson Tatum have stepped in? The day and age that we live in today, what normally happens now on social media or in any form, whether it be on a podcast, go on your own phone and make a video, put it out there to the masses how you don't want your partner in crime, Jaylen Brown, to be traded. Yes, in this day and age, I think Jayson Tatum was almost, he was supposed to do it, but he didn't do it. So it comes across as if Jayson Tatum was on board with what the Boston Celtics did yesterday in trading Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers. However, that's not the angle I'm taking. I don't think Jayson Tatum wanted to be involved in this whatsoever. I think this situation is very similar to what the new ownership in Dallas did to Nico Harrison, the former general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, in basically mandating Nico Harrison to trade Luka Doncic. I think the new ownership of the Boston Celtics mandated Brad Stevens to make a move with Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown is still under contract for the next 3 seasons for I think $190 million. He's due an extension next week at some point for a 2-year, $162 million extension. I don't think ownership wanted to give Jaylen Brown that extension, and I think Brad Stevens was under the gun, on the clock, if you will, to make a deal. So, power struggle between Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown? I don't think so. I just think there was a mandate for Brad Stevens to make a deal. And it's not going to make sense to anybody in Boston from a basketball standpoint. But if you just look at the specifics in terms of money, and the reality is that a lot of the owners are taking back their teams. They're not letting the league nor the players in their own organization take a stranglehold on their decisions. They're the ones making the decisions. And ultimately, I hate to say this, for as great a basketball player as all of us think Jaylen Brown is, ultimately, the Boston Celtics didn't think he was worth the money he's currently on right now, and definitely not the money he's going to be due over a 2-year extension. So regardless of power struggle, I think this was an organizational move by the owners to force general manager and president of basketball operations, Brad Stevens, to move Jaylen Brown. Should they have moved him last week? Of course. I can get into that later, but I just think this was ownership saying we ultimately don't think Jaylen Brown will live up to the amount of money that we're going to be obligated to pay him over the next 5 years. This was definitely an organizational decision rather than a power struggle between Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Ashley, we currently have a power struggle between me and Dwight. He sees it as organizational, as in the boardroom, which I do as well. But I also think there was a power struggle between Brown and Tatum. What says you?
So we don't know, right? I don't know if Jayson Tatum wanted Jaylen Brown out. I feel that Jayson is actually a very quiet kind of guy. I've interviewed him a couple times, and he's not the talkative type. So he's never usually the one to go on social media and air out his opinions on anything. So what would be any different for him not doing that now? So I don't want to come out and say, oh, Jayson Tatum wanted Jaylen Brown out. I also don't want to say that every organization does care about the feedback of their superstar players. I know how much LeBron loved playing with Anthony Davis. I don't think LeBron was in those discussions to get rid of Anthony Davis. I don't think he was given an opinion on that. So I can't say whether or not Jayson Tatum had a say in that. I don't know. Now, does it look bad from my standpoint? Yeah, I think you should be defending the one guy that you went to war with, that you won a championship with. Most guys, I think, would. Maybe Jayson Tatum didn't like what Jaylen Brown had to say about this being his favorite season, statistics-wise, and knowing that Jayson was hurt and couldn't play. But the fact that they got rid of Jaylen, and the fact that, according to sources, they thought, Derek White was the more efficient player, is just beyond comprehension to me. I mean, Jaylen, again, we've talked about this millions of times. He was a Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, won a championship, led the Boston Celtics to the number 2 seed in the East this season. And you're going to say that he's not worthy of a contract extension, and you're going to take a risk on a guy like Jayson Tatum, who's coming off of an injury, and we don't know if he's going to be back to 100%. Injuries take time. Yeah, he's taken most of this season off, but when he came back in the playoffs, he re-injured himself. I don't know how he's going to look next year. So I understand if this was a move from a contract standpoint of not wanting to pay both Jayson and Jaylen. Totally get that. But now there's all this other word being leaked out that, oh, we didn't believe in Jaylen. We didn't want to move forward with Jaylen. We didn't see the max contract in Jaylen. That's where I have a problem with this ownership. This is where I have a problem with this team. So I do think it could be a combination of both. We just don't know unless we talk to Jayson himself and say, hey, were you a part of these discussions? Or why didn't you speak up in defending Jaylen Brown? I can't assume that Jayson is the reason for this, or this was a power struggle. Because when they're on the court together, I think they play great together. And I don't see any type of power struggle. They each know when to get to their spots. They each know when it's their turn. I've never seen any issue on the court. So it's hard for me to believe off the court. I haven't seen any pictures or videos with them off the court either. So I don't know if they have even a relationship off the court. But what I know is on the court, they're able to keep it professional, play the game the right way. But to me, it's a combination of both ownership saying, hey, we're not paying this max contract, we need him out of here. And also it could be, Jayson being like, I don't care one way or another, but, maybe get him out of here. He's causing too much of a distraction. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
A lot of that language coming from the Celtics is for the people of Boston, right? Because a lot of them are just going to believe everything that, oh man, he's not worth that. And just to kind of start the spin and really, frankly, the damage control. Let's move on to another topic here. And Ash, you're going to go first. Is Jaylen Brown Philly's new 1A? I'm going with the 1A flow here. I like the Batman Robin thing. The whole rest of the world does the 1A thing, so we'll do that. Is Jaylen Brown Philly's new 1A?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, who else would it be? I mean, yeah, you could take Joel Embiid, but he's been injured. He hasn't been consistent. Jaylen Brown has been pretty vocal in the point of like, hey, I want my own team. I want to be the leader of that team. And we've seen what Jaylen can do with Jayson Tatum out. Again, number 2 seed in the East. He's proven himself as the best two-way player in the league. Finals MVP. A lot of people don't think he deserves it, but he guards the other team's best player. This guy knows how to get to his shots. He's a dog. And any team should be grateful to have a Jaylen Brown on their team. So do I think he's number 1? Yes. Because again, Joel Embiid's not healthy, never consistent. And Tyrese Maxey still has a couple things that he needs to work on, especially in crunch time when it comes to clutch basketball. I would take Jaylen Brown any day. So yes, Jaylen Brown is my Batman, 100%.
All right, Dwight. Do you agree with that? Is Jaylen Brown Philly's new 1A?
This will only be decided once Brown acclimatizes himself in the locker room. He needs to have a conversation with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Embiid specifically, because there is beef between the two of them. He's already gone on Twitch talking about Joel Embiid being a great basketball player, but he's a flopper. And then, of course, you proceed to see the highlights behind the comments to where Joel Embiid is trying to squash it on the court. Jaylen doesn't want any part of it. Let's see if that spills over into the locker room. But Jaylen Brown obviously wants to be the alpha to everybody else to whatever team he plays for. And now that's currently the Philadelphia 76ers. Jaylen Brown is joining Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. So to assume that Jaylen is going to be the number 1, the alpha dog with the Sixers, that's a bad assumption because that conversation needs to be had. The respect level that Jaylen Brown is going to bring to the Sixers locker room is that he is an Eastern Conference Finals MVP and he's an NBA Finals MVP. So he has that going for him as he gets into the Sixers locker room. But it's going to be something for Nick Nurse and that staff to play out. They're going to have to decide what happens here. So it's not going to be an easy transition because Tyrese Maxey has the ball in his hands all the time. He's used to averaging 30 points per game, as is Joel Embiid. Now you've got 3 players on that roster. Of course, Joel Embiid has to be healthy, but you've got 3 players on that roster now who truly feel in their mind that they're the 1A, the alpha dog, the Batman to everybody else's Robin. So this is going to be a very interesting transition for Jaylen Brown. But Brown is going to be a very motivated player, especially when they play Boston. They get to play the Celtics 4 times a year. That's what also makes this trade I can't understand. But other than that, I just think there's going to have to be a conversation because all 3 players are capable of not only averaging 30, but leading the NBA in scoring. It's going to be an interesting dynamic. But of course, Embiid has to be healthy. But right now, I'm proof positive in my mind that Jaylen Brown thinks that he's automatically the 1A in Philly but that conversation needs to be had with two players that are already there in Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid.
Phenomenal takes by both y'all. Now it's Cam's turn. No. Look, y'all made great points here. Should Jaylen Brown, the keyword, should he be the 1A? Yeah, maybe it's debatable. Like Dwight said, there's no doubt Jaylen Brown thinks he's the 1A. Man, Embiid got nothing on me. Man, Maxey's got nothing on me. They don't have a ring. They don't have a finals. Why would Jaylen Brown take a backseat to these guys, right? He's one of the most confident players we've ever seen. But the reality is Philadelphia has 3 1As. They have 3 of them, okay? What a luxury, right? Maybe the only team in the league with 3 1As. You have Embiid, you have Maxey, and you have Brown. I guess Portland has 3 1As, but at different levels of their careers. All 3 of these guys, Embiid, Brown, and Maxey, are closers, finishers, clutch, fearless, okay? All 3 of them. NBA coaches are stubborn. No matter how hard we try to get them to change. Steve Kerr, play your rookies, please, for the love of Orange, for the love of Naismith. I'm not hearing any of that, Rick. Whatever Rick Celebrini says is the gospel, but whatever you say, in one ear and out the other. I'm not listening to any other. Coaches are stubborn, man, and I love Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is the homie, but he's been coaching for a long time. Coaches are stubborn. They stick with what works. They stick with their program. They stick with their system. They just do. And kind of come hell or high water, Embiid will still operate as the primary 1A on this team. That is my belief right now. He is the former MVP, former scoring champion. He is the dude on that team. That's not going to change with Brown in town. And Brown can have a conversation with him. Joel Embiid's not taking a backseat to Brown or Maxey either. Okay, maybe there's a new power struggle brewing in Philly. I don't know. Brown will be the first option on some nights. There's going to be some nights maybe Embiid's in foul trouble. Maybe Maxey's got an ankle and bam, Brown's going to go for 35 that night. But there's going to be some nights where Brown's a third option on this team. There are going to be some nights, guys, where Jaylen Brown is a glorified 3-and-D guy on the Philadelphia 76ers. They got that young guy, VJ Edgecombe, too, okay? He's going to have nights. He's going to eat into it. Jaylen Brown's stats are coming way down. Fantasy alert. He was at 28.7 PPG last year. 29 a game, career high. He will fall 5, 6, 7, 8 points a game. He'll be 20, 21, 22 PPG on this team. Philly has the best big 3 in the NBA on paper, but Joel Embiid will remain their 1A. All right, I have another topic for you guys. Let's look at the East. What does Jaylen Brown to Philadelphia do for your outlook on the Eastern Conference? Okay, 1 minute clock on this one. I just want to take a quick dive into this one, and I want Dwight to go first. Dwight, will Philly win the East, as in go to the finals with Jaylen Brown? Will Philly win the East with Jaylen Brown?
The Sixers will not win the East with Jaylen Brown. I just think the Knicks are better. I think Toronto's better. I think the Pacers are going to be better. I think Detroit's better. I think Charlotte's going to be in the picture. If LeBron James goes to Miami, that's a whole different conversation. As you guys have been hearing me talk about all season long, the parity across the NBA is just making me ecstatically happy. I'm a happy camper. I just think the Eastern Conference from top to bottom is better than the Western Conference. The Western Conference has the 2 best teams at the top, talking about San Antonio and Oklahoma City. And then I think the rest of the West is very comparable to the Eastern Conference. So I know there's teams I didn't mention, Orlando. There's plenty of teams in the Eastern Conference that as of right now are still better than the Philadelphia 76ers. But just because Jaylen Brown is there, it doesn't mean they're going to win the East. They'll be spoken about more. They'll be more competitive, but they won't win the East as currently constructed.
Understood. Ashley, how about you? Will Philly win the East with Jaylen Brown?
I do think there is still a couple other roster moves and changes that I want to see before claiming that. But right now, as Dwight said, I still think to me, the New York Knicks, best team. I'm never going to go against the reigning champs. I'm also going to take a look at Toronto, just getting Kawhi Leonard. I think they're going to be moving up in the standings just with that trade alone. Atlanta Hawks is a sleeper team for me. I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. Whether or not LeBron decides to go to Miami is another team that I think could potentially be better. Again, the Indiana Pacers, Halliburton's back. What about the Washington Wizards? You know, a healthy AD, Trae Young, AJ DeBanza. I don't know. They could string some wins together. I don't know. So right now, it is up in the air. I mean, I'm looking at this at the standings right now, and there's only like 2-3 teams that I could say for a fact that I'm just not high on, and the rest, it's anyone's game. But again, we could be shocked, right? The Sixers could click at the right time. Kind of like we saw the Knicks do toward the end of the season, and they could figure this thing out. But we don't have enough of a sample size yet to see how Jaylen Brown and Joel Embiid and VJ and Tyrese play together. So I'm not going to rule it out completely. But right now, I'm not going against the reigning champs. I'm going to stick with the Knicks. Also, I didn't mention Cleveland as well. So I think there's a lot of other teams right now that are in the running for first place, and I'm not going to give it to the Philadelphia 76ers.
All right. Well, neither am I. And that is 3-4-3. As constructed, I can't. The Knicks are going to win the East again. And as we speak, they're my pick to repeat in this era of parity, Dwight, and buck that trend. I do believe the Knicks are going to repeat. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now. Joel Embiid questions. Will he stay healthy? Will he play big when it matters most? The Sixers essentially traded Kelly Oubre for Dean Wade. What? The only move in free agency that's worse than that is the friggin' Jaylen Brown trade. $4 and $39 million for Dean Wade? Are you serious? I mean, like, bring back Daryl Morey for the love of Pete. Bob Myers, you're better than that, bro. Philly's bench right now is Bona, Barlow, Justin Edwards, Dalen Terry, and LeBaron Fillon. Huh? That's the worst bench in the NBA. Brooklyn has a better bench than that, okay? So Philly's going to be better, but they're not going to win the East. Are you guys ready to talk about LeBron James? Hey, Dwight, your guy LeBron is a captain without a boat right now. So let's get into this, and you go first. A little bit of a setup for our audience. On Monday, James informed the Lakers that the franchise can move on without him because he will play elsewhere. There's a he said, she said, man, woman joke in there somewhere, you know, like the dating game. There's a joke in there somewhere, but let's speed it along. Shams reported the first 3 options on Monday: Golden State, Cleveland, Miami. Philly, Denver, and Minnesota have also since shown interest. There's at least 6 teams in on LeBron. Dwight Walton, no clock, go ahead, best fit for Bron.
Well, what I do like with this LeBron James situation is that he is an unrestricted free agent. He can sit back, relax, and watch the GMs across the league, GMs specifically of championship contenders. He can sit back and watch how they finish filling out their rosters. And then LeBron, being the smart basketball player that we all know him to be, could pick his spot and just say, you know what, I'm basically plug and play. I've had 4 separate Hall of Fame careers throughout my 23-year career in the NBA. I've proven that I could be a 1A, I could be a 1B, I could be a third option, and if need be, even at my advanced age of 41 years old, and I'm going to be 42 in my 24th season, I could still be a 1A when necessary. So he's going to pick a team to where he knows that he has a legitimate shot at competing on a game-by-game basis and having a chance to win whatever conference he plays in, ultimately, and getting himself, at the very least, a chance to win a championship. So, again, for me, I think he'll fit everywhere. But if we're talking about championship contention, and I want to be realistic, I don't think the Knicks need him because they have OG Anunoby there, because he's not going to come off the bench. Could he play for Boston? Absolutely. Could he play for Detroit? Absolutely. Could he play for Philadelphia? Absolutely. Could he play for basically any Eastern Conference contending team in the Eastern Conference? For sure. But if I was LeBron James, if I was in his camp, I know they just signed Tobias Harris. I know that. But San Antonio, to me, is the perfect spot for LeBron James. He's the power forward that Victor Wembanyama needs. I don't care about the narrative. I don't care about the backlash. He's going into a situation where, yes, he'd definitely be the elder statesman in the room, but he has a ton of respect for the leader of that ship, talking about Greg Popovich. I know Mitch Johnson is the head coach there, but the respect level is there for Popovich. The respect level is there for the organization. To me, if I was in his camp, I would have LeBron seriously consider San Antonio as a landing spot for him next season. I think it would extend his career. I've always said that he needs to be around on a team that has a bunch of young athletes that are very good, players that he respect, and to have that one dominant center that he can make look even better than he currently is. Right? So as a power forward, as a point forward, I think the best fit for LeBron James are the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not saying he's going to sign there, but I just think from a basketball perspective and him trying to add on to his legacy by winning a championship, it's San Antonio for me. I know the fans are not going to like that, but that's not what the question is. What's the best fit for LeBron? Power forward, be there for Victor Wembanyama and those young athletes that San Antonio currently has. I will say this. I know it's a hypothetical, but I know this. Do you think LeBron James would have allowed the San Antonio Spurs to blow that 29-point lead in Game 4 to the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals? I don't think so. That's the difference. It's that simple to me. I think it's a plug and play if LeBron James could be the power forward and be the best fit for the San Antonio Spurs.
So, Ashley, before we go to you and me on my answer for this, we do have some big news here. Anthony Simons is a Sixer, 2 years, $12.3 million. So the analytical hero, Dean Wade, 4 years and 39. Whoa, I mean, awful, awful, awful contract. But they recouped it ×2. You got Jaylen Brown for Paul George and some picks, and you just stole Anthony Simons for $6 million a year. Essentially, I'm assuming it's the taxpayer mid-level exception, the same level that Shamet was able to re-sign with New York on. This changes things a little bit for me, okay? Like, I'm not ready to say Philly's going to win the East and be over New York. I tell you what, though, Philly's the second best team in the Eastern Conference. I'm ready to say that. I needed to see some other moves, right? Your starting five is, well, your core four is badass. Dean Wade, not, I mean, Oubre for Dean. Kelly Oubre should have been re-signed. But just give me like 15, 20 seconds on Simons here, and then we'll get back to our topic. And does this move the needle for you, or is this just he's a guard going to Philly? Ashley, give me the answer on that.
Yeah, I don't want to say it necessarily moves the needle. Does it add 3-point shooting and a guy that can play both sides of the ball? Yes. I know that he worked really closely with Damian Lillard at one point. So you got, a legendary guy like Dame that was your mentor as you were moving up in this league. So I already have a lot of faith in Anthony Simons. I really like him as a player. I just don't know if it really moves the needle. But the Sixers are really making some moves. I mean, they're trying to compete. They're trying to win. They know that this window isn't going to be open for so long, especially with Joel Embiid's health. So I like it. It doesn't move the needle for me, though, necessarily.
Dwight, needle mover? I say yes. Ashley says no. Needle mover or not, Simon's going to Philly.
He will add bench stability to the Sixers, absolutely. But right now, I'll just bring in the Toronto Raptors, for example. Are the Sixers, with the addition of Simons, better than Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Kawhi Leonard, Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl, Jacoby Walter, Jamal Shed, who else? Keep on going down the line. I'm not sure if I think that lineup in Toronto is better than Philadelphia. Simons is a good pickup by the Sixers. I don't think this shifts the landscape of the Eastern Conference. They still got to prove it. These guys haven't played together. Health is going to be a significant factor for the Sixers. It's a significant factor for every team in the NBA, obviously, but specifically the Sixers. The Sixers are a markedly better team if Joel Embiid can consistently be on the floor. And he looks great at times, but the reality is the trend has been that he could be okay for a game or two or maybe three, maybe over the course of a series. But as we saw this past spring, he was good against the Celtics and then couldn't be there for his team against the Knicks. So as long as Joel Embiid's health status is up in the air, I don't think the Sixers are going to catapult any of the favorites in my mind in the Eastern Conference.
Wow. Okay. I love the answers, man. All right. So Ashley, let's pick up where, let's get, back to our story here, as they say. Bron, best fit. Go.
Well, I just want to start out by saying I love that so many teams still have interest in a guy that's 41 years old, right? I mean, how often do you hear that a guy like that is still wanted everywhere, and you know that he can make an impact immediately? No matter what team you put LeBron James on, he's going to make an impact. He's going to make you better. And the Lakers, man, I don't know. We'll get into that later. I just think what they did was absolutely ridiculous. And it's petty that LeBron's like, oh, I'll take a veteran minimum anywhere else except the Lakers. I want to get paid by the Lakers, but I will take a veteran minimum anywhere else. And I think that's actually sending a message to Los Angeles that LeBron just did not want to be there anymore. And obviously that relationship was not going to be able to be repaired. Now, where should he go? If we see him go to the Spurs, that's going to me, I don't think he wants to deal with that headache. I mean, I hate to say that he cares about what other people think, but he already has so much of a reputation for leaving, to going to certain places, and the decision, and going to the Spurs. Just, I would love to see that. And like Dwight said, it would be a good fit for him with young talent, and it's mature young talent. Not like him going anywhere else where we see that these guys just don't know how to close it out, right? Like the Spurs made it to the finals. I was going to think OKC, but then you can't go to OKC after they just swept you. Like, that's kind of like a KD type of a move. Like, we can't see that happen. I think Cleveland could potentially be a good fit for him. There's still a lot of young talent there. You got Evan Mobley, you got Jarrett Allen as well. Donovan Mitchell, I would love to see them play together. James Harden can kind of fall back into that role of just passing. Please don't shoot any more threes. For the love of everything holy, don't shoot any more freaking threes, man. Stick to your role. Be a pass-first guard. Let LeBron and Donovan Mitchell do their thing. I think Cleveland, to me, would be the best fit for him. Also nostalgic, going back to where it started. I think it would be a nice end of a fairy tale. But then I would also like to see him with the Warriors. I know that him and Steph are really good friends. Him and Draymond are good friends. It would just be kind of cool to see all of them like just having fun. And I know LeBron wants to win, but essentially he said, I want to be happy and I want to have fun. Now, yes, does winning come with that? Of course. But imagine teaming up with your best friends for the final years of your season and just enjoying it. Right? I know LeBron likes to golf. Is he going to go? Does he want to go somewhere cold? I don't know. He likes to golf. Why would he want to go to Cleveland? Why would he want to go to all these places where it gets cold? So it's still up in the air for me. I know he met with Cleveland recently, had a meeting. So Cleveland, to me, the door is open there. And then just the Warriors for that just like final chapter of playing with the besties for the closing years of your career. So I'm in between those two, but I think Cleveland would be a good fit.
We have a San Antonio, and we have a Cleveland, and we have a Philly. Oh, from Cam. So you're five right now. We've talked about it. Maxey, VJ, Brown, LeBron, and Embiid. And then Dean Wade's off the bench, and I'm fine with that. Dean Wade is your starting power forward. I'm not fine with that, okay? And let's do the process of elimination. By the way, All right, so you're not Anthony Simons, not a game changer. Okay, it's debatable. I mean, he's not a game changer like LeBron, but I think anyway, needle mover, whatever we're talking about. If LeBron goes to Philly, they have reached out. He might go there. If Braun goes to Philly and you have Maxey, VJ, Brown, LeBron, Embiid, are you serious?
Then I changed my opinion.
Right, like
same here.
Like the Knicks would be like, damn, they literally would, and they'd be like, come on, they got Braun in our division. It would change.
I would love it.
Everything. Okay, so let's do the process.
I want to see it actually. Yep.
He would take over the East again. Could you imagine all these people in the East being like, we don't have LeBron James to worry about anymore. And then he comes back and completely annihilates them all again.
Yo, Rick, you give me.
Well, let me.
Rick, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So let me go through the process of elimination here. Golden State is relying on Porzingis, who plays half the year, Draymond Green, who's so washed that he just declined a $28 million player option, Jimmy Butler, who knows, Moses Moody, who knows, Brandon Podziemski, a.k.a. Pods, great one night, awful the next, some of the worst decision-making in the entire NBA, because Steve Kerr doesn't work with him. And Al Horford, who I love, boss, as they called him in Atlanta. He's 47 years old. That's your crew. And you have Curry, of course. That's your crew. LeBron is not going to Golden State and lifting them up. Not happening. Let's talk about Denver. Very shaky contender right now. Denver's about to go timber. Christian Brown has regressed. Cam Johnson's not working out. Aaron Gordon's falling apart. You have no bench at all. Jokic is entering a walk year. Did you guys know that? He has a player option next summer, okay? So he's in the final year of his deal right now. Things are about to get weird in Denver. Minnesota, okay? A lot of our audience members are saying Minnesota, LeBron in Minnesota. Would I love it? Yeah, I would love it. I would immediately buy a jersey. By the way, a Sixers Jaylen Brown jersey will be purchased by me. Like I said, I just didn't want Boston on my chest. I didn't. But I'll put Philly on my chest with Brown on the back. But for Minnesota, right, I would love to see it. I just don't see Braun in Minnesota. Like, just that. Braun with the weather and the cold and the Timberwolves, and I just don't see it, okay? Cleveland, their five would be Harden, Mitchell, LeBron, Mobley, and Allen. Incredible. However, am I the only one that has come to the realization, the truism, the fact of life, that you can never win a championship with James Harden on your roster? It will never happen, okay? And then Miami. Guys, the Heatles era ended when LeBron tried to big boy Pat Riley into firing Eric Spoelstra. You say, Cam, how do you know that? An incredibly highly ranked source told me that information. What's your source, Cam? You don't ask that question because we can't answer it. But that door's not reopening. So that's my process of elimination right there. Dwight, go ahead, sir.
No, I just wanted to say, if you give me a starting five, a starting lineup of Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid, I am changing my mind. I am changing my opinion. That roster on paper and on the court, quite frankly, would challenge the New York Knicks for the Eastern Conference Championship. I would put them second behind the New York Knicks. Also, what LeBron James does, even at 42 years of age, it takes the pressure off of Joel Embiid to have to play every night. And then he could be at his optimum capacity when they get to the playoffs. Now, the Sixers have to do a very good job of finding a backup big for Joel Embiid. I don't know if Andre Drummond is still there. Andre Drummond went to social media the other day talking about he is done playing for the minimum contracts. He's only going to play if he gets paid what he's worth. He's already spoken about how his rebounding prowess should already have him as a first ballot Hall of Famer. So it's obvious that he thinks pretty highly of himself, as all professional athletes should, and they already do. So I'm not disrespecting him on that regard. But I don't know if Andre Drummond is going to be back with Philadelphia next season. However, if LeBron James was to pencil himself in as the power forward with the Sixers, on paper, there isn't a better team other than the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference than the Sixers would be. And that's why if I'm Bob Meyer and the new Sixers front office there in Philly, I'm making a full court press for LeBron James to play for the Sixers. Imagine that fan base. Imagine that market, TV and radio. They would explode with glee if LeBron James were to sign there. I just think, again, that's another perfect fit. I've already spoken about the San Antonio Spurs. I'm putting the Philadelphia 76ers into my answer as well. That's another perfect fit or best fit for LeBron if LeBron were to sign as their starting small forward. No question about it.
So, Dwight, in terms of Philly's roster, they need backup forwards. And, they just got Simons, and you got the rookie Phil on, and I don't know. They could probably use another guard too. But they're good at center. Adem Bona will be on the roster, and they signed for 1 year and about $3.4 million Ariel Hook-Porty of the New York Knicks. So Dre will not be back. They've already got their three stack at center. And so I'm not crazy about Bona and Hook-Porty being behind Joel Embiid, but that's the way they're rolling there. All right, I do want to put a timer on this next segment, 60 seconds. Ashley, you're going to go first. It involves your Lakers. If you need an additional 10 seconds, take it. But let me give the audience the quick setup here. So the question is, are the Lakers more dangerous post-LeBron? So you had the LeBron, Reeves, Luka. Now you got this new look group, right? You trade for Walker Kessler. You give Mamuskilishvili 4 years and $52 million. I cringe at that contract. Quentin Grimes, 4 years and 60, thumbs up. Colin Sexton, 2 years, $19 million, big thumbs up. Ashley and everybody, the Lakers have lost Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard, Jackson Hayes, and Rui Hachimura will not be back either. So Ashley, go ahead. Are the Lakers more dangerous post-LeBron?
No. They're going to be lucky to make the play-in next year when it's all said and done. I will go as far to say that. No team is better off without LeBron James. Again, take a look at what they did in the playoffs this year. What LeBron was able to do against the Houston Rockets and carry the team on his back. Against OKC in the next round, yes, they got swept, but LeBron was playing his heart out at 41 years old. And yeah, they lost, whatever. The game 4, they could have won that. They could have won that game. I think the Lakers beat themselves. A couple mistakes cost them the game. You have to play perfect basketball against OKC. And even those other 3 games, the Lakers had them in the first 3 quarters. And then obviously OKC ran away with that. They had more depth. And the Lakers were without Luka. But without LeBron, you just named this whole roster. Does that scare you? Does anyone that's watching this from home, does that Lakers roster scare you at all? Doesn't scare me. I don't know what Los Angeles is doing, considering you just got your new face of the franchise, Luka Doncic, okay? And this is the team you're going to put around him? This is really the guy that you're going to go to war with, right? You traded away AD, some other pieces for Luka because you wanted this guy. And then you promised Luka, hey, we're going to build a contender around you. And this is what you give him? This is the best you could do? Now, I would have been okay if they would have gotten Walker, kept LeBron, maybe a couple other pieces that they could afford it. But I mean, ultimately, I understand why LeBron walked. I understand why the Lakers didn't want to give him the max deal that he was requesting to stay there at the time. But no, this team is not more dangerous. You're never more dangerous without LeBron James. And this roster, to me, is embarrassing.
Okay, I'm about to disagree with a lot of that, but first we're going to bring in Dwight Walton. Dwight, are the Lakers, and I want everybody to know, we're not asking, are the Lakers better off without LeBron James? That is not the question. The question is, are they more dangerous post LeBron? Because they have made, Dwight, Ashley, in our audience, and you guys know this, they have made an organizational shift away from the big three model to more of like a depth, like have a lot of guys model, right? So it's not, nobody's dissing LeBron around here. It's just, do you like this construction of the team, or is this construction more dangerous? So let's go to Dwight here. Are the Lakers more dangerous post LeBron?
Keep in mind, the Lakers just won. They're coming off a season where they won 53 games and they won a first-round playoff series. If we feel that this roster, that is obviously younger, more athletic, and more tailor-made for Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves' skill set, I will give you that. But do I think they will win at least 53 games and win a playoff series this season? No, I do not. So I don't think this current roster is more dangerous post LeBron. Do I think they have the potential to grow and to get to know each other better and to grow organically over the next couple of years and be more dangerous post LeBron? Yes, if that's an obvious yes answer, so be it. Yes, I think they'll be better, more dangerous eventually. I think this roster will play itself out. They're definitely they have more depth. They're more athletic. They've got depth at the center position if DeAndre Ayton decides to accept his role. But again, the floor right now for the Lakers is 53 wins and to get past the first round. Do I think this current roster will do that this season? No. Do they have the potential to do it eventually? Yes, I do.
All right. I love the takes, guys. I love it. So to me, I think the Lakers are more dangerous post LeBron. You got to have a crew in today's NBA. The big three model doesn't work anymore. And you think about this, top heavy, big three model. You got to have 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. LeBron James was basically turned into and chopped up into Kessler, Mamu, Grimes, and Sexton. The Lakers now have a crew, kinda. All right, not like a San Antonio or OKC crew, but the Lakers are now 7 deep. Last year they were 5 deep. Okay, and so the Lakers needed to get better defensively. Kessler is going to help them with that. They needed to get more dynamic and athletic. Sexton and Grimes will help them with that. So I'm sorry, Bron, but the Lakers are more dangerous with their new look crew. And in terms of how the Lakers did LeBron, I frankly, they stopped communicating with him. They didn't tell him about the ownership change, didn't tell him about the Davis trade. They are doing everything Luka wants. Luka. LeBron was like, bro, I'm over it. I'm out of here, okay? But the Lakers started that, kind of like the Boston Celtics started the unraveling and unzippering of the them and Brown thing with the failed attempt to trade for Kevin Durant. All right, so let's get...
So hold on, Rick. Hold on, Rick.
Yeah, hit me.
If I could ask you a question. Forget about the more dangerous. Do you think this team, as currently constructed, is better than the team they had last year in Los Angeles?
Yes, I do.
If
last year's team was so flawed. Terrible defensively, couldn't shoot, unathletic, not dynamic, and look.
And they won 53 games, Rick.
Well, let's give JJ Redick a ton of credit, man. All right.
Okay.
But I love that the Lakers are moving on from Rui Hachimura. I told them to. You're not going to win big with this guy. Like, I get it. His 3-point shooting was off the charts and all that kind of stuff. They need a 3-and-D guy he's like $17 million a year for Rui Hachimura. No way. Not even close. I just think the Lakers had run their course with what they had. And I like their shift. I like their pivot here. Do I see them, and Dwight, do I see them winning 53 games again? I don't know. Maybe not. Do I see them winning a first-round playoff series? Probably not. But let's really contextualize this. Would the Lakers have beaten Houston if Kevin Durant played all of those games? No, they would not have. So, I want to be careful personally giving the Lakers a bunch of credit for winning a first-round playoff series. No Van Vliet. Kevin Durant missed, 2 or 3 of the games? I mean, how could you not beat Houston at that point?
No, and I get that, and you know what? Yes, I am a LeBron James advocate. I still think they would have beaten Houston had Kevin Durant played. I just think LeBron is that good. He was too focused. I think JJ Redick's game plan was perfect. They didn't have Fred VanVleet the entire season, so you can't bring that into the fold. I get the Durant part of it, of course, but they didn't have Fred VanVleet all season long. Uh, I could say LeBron was so happy to be the number one option again. I think he was out to prove that he was going to beat, at the very least, the Houston Rockets. He knew he was in tough against OKC. They weren't going to beat him, even if they had Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. At least I don't think so. Would they be swept? That's a different question. But OKC's on a different level. San Antonio is on a different level. But the Lakers are going to miss LeBron James. The fans that say the Lakers, and I'm not including you in this, Rick, but the fans that say the Lakers are going to be more dangerous post LeBron simply don't like him. They want him not only off the Lakers, they don't want him in the NBA. Those are the fans that are going to try to convince themselves that this particular roster is more dangerous post LeBron. I don't see it. Again, the potential is there. But remember, the floor is 53 wins and getting past the first round. I know Luka is great. Austin is great. But the overall roster, we're talking about Colin Sexton, Quentin Grimes, Walker Kessler, Sandro Mamukelashvili, people that haven't done it. They got to listen. There's a lot of pressure now. They're playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka is going to do everything in his power to help those guys get to where they want to get to, but the Lakers are going to miss LeBron James. And the fans, they can say whatever they want to. Those fans that think that they're going to be more dangerous post LeBron simply don't like him. And for the most part, they want him to retire. Those are the fans we're talking about.
All right, I want to start this next topic. We have Law Murray,
Wait, can
Clippers
you hear me?
insider,
Can you hear
joining
me?
us. I can now. Did you have something to add, Ashley?
Yeah, I did. Sorry about that. I don't know why. I feel like we've all been kind of freezing a little bit on here. Sorry, guys. What I wanted to add just onto that point, obviously we haven't seen what any of these players can do, right? In terms of winning a championship, playing for winning organizations, anything of that nature. So none of these guys outside of Luka have really done anything. But I also want to go back to the point of playing in Los Angeles, this level of pressure that it takes to win. And the fans, they're ruthless, right? They don't have any sort of patience whatsoever. I'm very interested to see how Luka responds to this pressure. This isn't Dallas, all right? He's lucky that he had LeBron there to lean on to handle this pressure, because one mistake, one losing little run throughout the season, these fans are going to say, we want Luka the hell out of here. Get him out of here. He's doing nothing for us. So I'm interested to see how Luka is going to play without LeBron. And to also to Brian Windhorst's point, and I thought he was just this mic drop moment on ESPN, and I was like, hell yeah. He basically said LeBron has delivered a championship in every place that he's been. So to say that this Lakers roster is more dangerous or better without LeBron, to me is just crazy. None of these guys have done anything to prove themselves, whereas LeBron has a 4-time NBA champion, 4-time MVP, and depending on where he goes again, it could be 5. So, yeah, to all the Lakers fans that just continuously want to hate on LeBron, you're gonna regret it when he retires.
Well, I put out a spicy tweet. I've had a different experience with that. I put out a spicy tweet about Luka Doncic around the time that he was playing the SOFT card in the playoffs, missing 5 weeks. No, I'm not coming back for the playoffs. That will never, ever, ever sit well with me. And so I put out a spicy tweet. It wasn't like razor sharp, but it was, typical Cam spicy. I got ratioed, as they say. The comments went way larger than the likes. And it was, you know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. You suck. Luka's the best. Luka's our king. Luka's our son. Luka. So I've not had that experience. My experience is that Laker fans are still in the honeymoon phase, still in the wait, we got Luka for Anthony Davis phase, and you can't say anything about this guy. I mean, this guy literally just said, I'm good. Just deuced out on an entire playoff run, the last playoff run with LeBron in a Laker jersey. Completely tricked it off and just deuced it out. And Laker fans were going to battle for him against me on Twitter like he was their brother, okay? Like he was Strahinja, Jokic, right? Nikola. I mean, they wanted a piece of me. I'm telling you, they were coming at me, all right? So I've had a totally different experience with that. I think Luka's good out there in LA, man. I think he could just whistle Dixie down the street, play 45 games next year. Everybody's still going to love him out there. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. Listen, you're not wrong. I just think, listen, Luka has already gotten the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals. He just needs to, win a championship now. The thing is, all stars that have come to LA have won championships. The pressure is now solely on Luka Doncic to deliver. Rob Pelinka was given a gift by the Dallas Mavericks' new ownership by getting the chance to acquire the next big star post LeBron James. Fans out there, if you think Luka is as good as LeBron, so be it. But I'm telling you right now, you are going to rue the day. I know he's old. I know he's going to be 42. I understand it. But no team is better off without LeBron James, whether he's 18 or 42. This man has been consistently great for 23 years and counting. I don't understand how people can discredit that. And just to make themselves feel better at night, they're now going to talk about longevity being a negative. You know how good it is to be great at your job for that long? And he's already on record to say that he's not going to allow the fans nor the media be able to talk about him as he falls off the proverbial Father Time is undefeated cliff. He's not going to allow it. But as long as he enjoys his job, as long as he enjoys the process of getting up every morning and trying to make himself to be the best version of himself, to play in a league where athleticism is of the paramount, it is of the most importance. He is still in the high 95 percentile of athletic prowess in the NBA at 41 and a half years of age. Just think about that for a minute. How great, how consistently awesome is that? And to think your team is going to be better off without him? Come on, man. A lot of hate is in there as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so let's bring on a very special guest and a great get around these times. Always a great get for us. His name is Law Murray, Clippers insider for The Athletic. There's our buddy Law. Hey, Law, it is Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Rick Kamla, Ashley Neville to my left, Dwight Walton to my right. How you doing, Law? What's up, man?
I'm good. Definitely distracted by this little panel thing that's got me flipping up and down, but other than that, I'm good.
So, Law, I'll start with this, and we'll go around the horn a little bit. Perfect. Love the glasses, by the way. Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. Did aspiration have anything to do with this? Was this purely contractual and extension based, where Kawhi wanted the money, Clippers didn't want it? Was it just as simple as money, or did aspiration have anything to do with this?
Aspiration, sure, why not? Oh man, I know everybody's going to want to talk about aspiration, and I do not. I don't want to talk about that. It's crap at all. I want to talk about that when the NBA wants to talk about it, and I was hoping that the NBA would have wanted to talk about it already. And we're not there yet. I'm sure Adam Silver wanted to talk about, the end of this, not the ongoing process of this, which has now reached an 11th month. Yeah, it's July. This investigation started in September. So, yeah, I will be more interested in talking about aspiration when we have a conclusion to the investigation, when we have consequences. And on that note, we can seg into what the Clippers have, and that's a whole lot of draft picks. And what they don't have, which is Kawhi Leonard, the player who is the impetus of this whole thing to begin with. And the thing that I was really thinking about in September when the investigation started was, is this going to be like the only precedent we had for anything like this? And it still wasn't very close, was Joe Smith. We all learned that because of what happened in discovery of Joe Smith's contract with the Minnesota Timberwolves, that was, even in 2000 terms, pretty suspicious. Why is a player who was the number one pick in his 20s and a pretty valuable player getting these minimum deals, 1 + 1 + 1, and filed in the cabinet somewhere. And, they wound up voiding his contract, right? Like, was Kawhi Leonard's contract going to be voided? And there was no thought that the Players Association or the league would cross that bridge, would ever let it get to a point like that. And Kawhi Leonard clearly did not operate as if he was worried about anything like that happening, right? Well, that's a moot point. Like, he's not with the Clippers anymore. It's basically as if the Clippers already said, hey, we don't have this contract anymore anyway. You're not voiding a contract. The Kawhi Leonard era is over. So the only thing that you can really conclude that would happen with the Clippers, if they were going to get a severe penalty here, it would involve draft picks. So they have a lot of draft picks based off of the trades that they've made. And we'll see how many of them they retain if this thing, if this investigation ever wants to end anytime soon.
Well, thank you for a phenomenal answer right there. Dwight, go ahead.
And Rick and Law, thanks for being on the show again today, man. I appreciate it. If you want to add another layer to what you just said, the outgoing owner of MLSE, the Toronto Raptors, the Maple Leafs, the whole Maple Leaf Gardens operations in Toronto, Larry Tannenbaum, is also the head of the board of governors for the NBA that's going to be making the decision on the aspirations / Kawhi Leonard, whether he should have his contract voided or not with the Raptors now that he's no longer with the Clippers. So that also adds another, I guess, complication to this whole thing. So listen, while Toronto feels that they've improved their team this season with the acquisition or the reacquisition of Kawhi Leonard, who knows what the NBA is going to levy in terms of a punishment towards Kawhi Leonard, if any, while he's with the Raptors. So that's also another part of this whole equation. But my question to you is, it's an obvious youth movement with the Clippers right now in Los Angeles. Are the Clippers better off without Kawhi Leonard, or do you think Kawhi Leonard, of what you know of him personally, could he have been a mentor / leader for that youth group that could have been with the Clippers had he been there right now?
Well, what Kawhi, he had to finish this season with the Clippers. Everyone else got traded. James Harden got traded. Zubac got traded because James Harden got traded. Chris Paul got traded months after they told him to go home anyway. This comes after several other players who were with the team were shown the door. Paul George, Russell Westbrook, Norman Powell after the 2025 playoffs. So Kawhi already had to be that guy for the rest of the season and basically say, like, all right, let's see if we can get to the playoffs. And they failed to do that. They were in the play-in tournament, which they get credit for getting themselves in that position at least. They got 42 wins. Kawhi Leonard was on the floor and had a chance to get the Clippers to the playoffs. They had a double-digit lead at home against a Golden State Warriors team that was not good, and they failed to close that game out. And then the Warriors made it clear that they were not good when they failed to beat a Phoenix Suns team that got swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference quarterfinals. So when it comes to Kawhi, I think that everyone understood that this era didn't just happen this year. I feel like everyone, I've been covering this thing for a long time. So the era started in 2024 as far as the youth movement or the transition out. It got distracted by the fact that the Clippers remained a team that was exceeding certain expectations. Like the 2024-25 season, with Kawhi was out and James Harden had to lead that team with Norman Powell and Ivica Zubac. That team exceeded expectations, probably led the Clippers to believe, okay, you know what? Let's get guys like Bradley Beal. Let's trade for John Collins. Let's try and add something to give this thing one more good push with the high-performing players that they had. And obviously that broke down. And a big reason it broke down is because when Kawhi Leonard couldn't play in November, the Clippers entered a hole that it took them 4 months to get out of. And I say all that to say the context of Kawhi could have said, hey, you're like, I want to be here no matter what. I don't want to go to Toronto. There's no other place. And the Clippers could have said, yeah, Kawhi, you know what? We're in it until the very end, right? And then there's the flip side. And it's like, be real, So, yeah, Kawhi could have been here, but I think that this has always been the plan for 2 years to eventually move on from Kawhi. And this was a natural way to do it, given the context of, again, they need to restore some draft capital because we don't know what the short-term future holds in that regard.
Yeah, and the older Kawhi gets, the more his value drops, the less you get back for him. So they did strike at a good time. Kawhi's coming off a phenomenal year. But a lot of debate about this trade, obviously, as we go to Ashley Neville. Law Murray, Clippers Insider, is with us. Go ahead.
What up,
Hi,
Ashley?
Law. Welcome in. How are you?
I feel good. It's I'm getting ready for Vegas, so
Ooh, Summer League. It's about to be a good time. I've been to Summer League. I think I'm going to skip this year. I need a break of traveling, and I just want to kind of just get into my routine. But you're going to have a great time out there for sure. So I wanted to ask a little bit about the Clippers. I actually have two questions. One, what do they want their identity to be this year? Like, what's their ceiling? What's their identity? And do you think they're done making moves, or could we see one final big splash for a potential a free agent, or maybe someone that no one's talking about?
Well, I can tell you the identity is to be competitive. Like, they have a very clear understanding of where they are and where they're not going to be. They're not going to be contenders. Like 2 years ago, when I shut the window for talk about the Clippers being contenders, the team let me know that they did not agree. They did not agree with that assessment, even if it turned out to be true. Like, you didn't see the Clippers win any playoff series, right? So that window was closed. But I didn't say that they weren't going to be competitive. And they were competitive these past 2 years, and they are going to expect to be competitive going forward. They have Darius Garland instead of James Harden, and now they have Brandon Ingram instead of Kawhi Leonard, and they have Tyronn Lue. And Tyronn Lue is there to have that team punch above its weight. And that team does really well when the expectations are low. And the expectations right now are going to be low, just like they were in 2024 and maybe not 21, 22. But I don't think people thought that, and when you look at how many players were hurt that year, that team would still wind up being 8th in the West. Now, when it comes to what's next, the free agent pool is thinning out fast, and it's going to thin out even faster when LeBron James makes his decision. For reasons I hope I don't need to expound on here, I don't expect LeBron James to go to the LA Clippers. So I think the big thing to look at, is they have a pretty significant restricted free agent in Benedict Mathurin, a player who is a former lottery pick who was included in the Ivica Zubac trade, who did not start but came off the bench and was one of the best producers of points off the bench. He's an incredibly messy player when it comes to certain things. Like, he can score, but if there was more to that, then he probably would be an Indiana Pacer under a long-term contract right now. He was extension eligible before this past season. Instead, he wound up getting traded into this situation where he is a restricted free agent. So I want to see I don't know how you guys have a Benedict Mathurin jersey from a uniform kit from 2 years ago, but whose Photoshop is that, man? That's the wrong kind of AI, Rick. but no, that's crazy.
I love
Yeah,
the
I
random
want to.
analysis.
I mean, y'all got Serge Ibaka's jersey on Benedict Mathurin. But yeah, I want to see what happens there. The roster's incomplete, so I would expect one more significant piece. But significance is not really the player; it's just how they wind up completing a roster that clearly needs one more major contributor.
Could you see that maybe being DeMar DeRozan?
No, absolutely not.
No. Okay.
I was gonna listen. So Law, listen. I live in Montreal. Ben is from Montreal. I was gonna ask you about Ben. Is Ben all the things you said? I can't deny. But is Ben in the Clippers' future? Do they want to re-sign him? Is he a part of the future? Or are they going to let him go? Are they waiting for him to get an offer elsewhere before they make a decision?
Yeah, I mean, look, we saw how restricted free agency worked last year. Those are the most dragged out processes for teams that might actually wind up retaining a player. I mean, even this year in restricted free agency, we had two pretty big hot cases already where Walker Kessler got traded. So that process was easy because the Lakers, they gave up a lot to get Walker Kessler, a player who played fewer games this past season than Bradley Beal, a guy who just opted out of his contract with the Clippers. Just putting it out there, right? Jaylen Brown was not just an all-star, he was an all-NBA selection for the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. And those conversations have already been somewhat toxic, and I don't know how that's going to get resolved. Like, the Pistons have certain leverage because he's a restricted free agent. But the Pistons could have, again, I had the same discussion about Benedict Mathurin. The Pistons could have signed him to a long-term rookie scale extension before this past season. And Jaylen Brown, in a bet on yourself situation, wound up an all-NBA player, even though he was an all-NBA player who disappointed significantly in the postseason in 2 rounds instead of 1. So, I don't think this is something that is going to come together quickly. I do think the Clippers have interest in Ben, especially considering they're going to need some source of offense. Ben is definitely a guy who's going to get buckets, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. Does that fit with Darius Garland and Brandon Ingram? It could. Could you use him in a trade if someone else was interested? That's a possibility. I'm not really sure what the market is for Benedict Mathurin right now, and the Clippers they're not bidding against themselves right now. They're not going to rush to come to an agreement without letting the market kind of dictate what's right for them. The Clippers have been very disciplined in that regard. They're not really the type of team that overpays. So we're going to see how that develops. And I would not be surprised if that development takes weeks rather than days.
So, Law, I'm curious about Keaton Wagler. There was Mikel Brown. You had Darius Acuff. You had like right there, bang, bang, bang. They all went one right after the other. And I'm not, this isn't loaded at all, right? I just honor the pick that they made. What was the thought process for the team, in terms of vetting those 3 guys? Why Wagler among that group? And do you think he has a chance to win Rookie of the Year and have a big time rookie season here? You mentioned Ingram, obviously Garland. I think Mathurin will be back, but there still should be an opportunity for some goodies there from Keaton Wagler. Talk to me about him.
Yeah, I would include Braden Burries in that mix as well. A shooting guard who probably would have been the best pure fit next to Darius Garland and then the rest of the guys that they had. But from a positional standpoint, the Clippers did need another guard, right? They needed another player who was comfortable making plays for others and creating shots for themselves as well. And I think Braden is far behind all those other guards who wound up going in the top 10. And I think it really was simple for me. Keaton Waddler was the pick because he's 6'5", and because he has those abilities to play on and off the ball. It gives you versatility in the team that you're building in the short term. And then in the long term, it gives you a chance at a guy who's really young and has a chance to continue to grow both in his skill set and experience, but physically. Like, if you remember what you were like in 19, you probably weren't the same when by the time you got to 25. I can surely attest to that. So I think that's what it is with Keaton. I think Keaton was just the best combination and intersection of the fit of a team in the short term with some ceiling to grow into long term, which is something that the Clippers haven't had since 2018 when they drafted Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a player that a lot of people are looking at Keaton's year at Illinois and Shai's year at Kentucky and see some similarities. Obviously, the Clippers wound up drafting that dude, getting a all rookie season out of him and using him in a significant package for an era that just concluded. It's a pretty interesting full circle. And with that, I don't see Keaton Waddler being a legitimate contender for Rookie of the Year. Like, there's just too many guys on this Clippers team who are going to have the ball and have more impact on the box score, which is usually how these things go. And I think the number 5 pick has been a dead zone for a lot of picks over the last 10 to 15 years. You can go look at the history of the number 5 pick. You can go look at the Clippers roster. They have 2 former guards who were picked 5th overall, Darius Garland and Chris Dunn. And those guys had terrible rookie seasons. And credit to those guys because they built on it and have now established themselves, in Garland's case, a 2-time All-Star. And here we go again with the bad uniforms. And then you got Chris Dunn, who just finished his 10th year and got his contract guaranteed. So with Keaton, I'm not looking at him as a Rookie of the Year contender, but I am looking at him as a guy who could contribute to a team that is trying to be, again, right there in the mix in the Western Conference playoff picture.
Hey, Law, final question from me, and we'll see if Dwight and or Ashley have another one. What's sort of your end summary of the experiment to bring in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, Ballmer making that big push, and now with the Kawhi Leonard trade, that's officially over? Like, how do you just kind of sum that whole process up?
It was one of the biggest disappointments you could have when you consider who those guys were when they got to the Clippers in 2019. The reigning finals MVP and a finalist for MVP and Defense Player of the Year coming to a team that exceeded expectations. It seemed like they had a really good culture. They were better than the Lakers, in 2019. And it just, the bubble was a huge miss, blowing a 3-1 lead when they could have met the Lakers, and that would have been a hell of a Western Conference Finals. It would have been a better Western Conference Finals than what you actually wound up getting between the Lakers and the Nuggets that year. And the Clippers responded to that by ending Doc Rivers' tenure with the organization and promoting Tyronn Lue and telling him to fix it. And Tyronn and Kawhi and Paul, they did fix it. They responded. They built a team that wasn't as good in the regular season, but was absolutely going to have a chance to do something special in the playoffs. They got out of the first round. They were on their way to beating the Jazz. And I think the biggest thing with the Kawhi Leonard tenure is Kawhi tearing his ACL in that semifinals, the same semifinals where the Clippers were able to get to their first and so far only conference finals in team history. That is the inflection point for me. It's the inflection point for all of this. Kawhi and PG, they were in their prime and young when they got to the Clippers. By the time Kawhi recovered from the ACL and was able to rejoin Paul and rejoin the Clippers on the court, that team became old. Those guys became unreliable in terms of how they were going to be able to stay on the floor. And the collective bargaining agreement squeezed out the Clippers' chances to use Steve Ballmer's assets to make sure that they could just have the strongest team they possibly could. I really feel like the Clippers' effort to make that era of basketball was commendable. And I think they were more unfortunate than they were dysfunctional or incompetent. But in the end, they won 3 playoff series in 7 years. And I think that's just a massive disappointment and one that will influence how the Clippers move going forward.
Phenomenal job.
I'm a huge fan of Yannick Niederhauser. Could you please talk about him and what his expectations, what the Clippers organization's expectations are for him? I think he's long, he's rangy, he's athletic, he will dunk on people, definitely a willing rim protector. I like the potential of this young center. Could you please speak on him a little bit?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Big Cheese, Switzerland native, so it fits. Great nickname. And I wish I could be excited for Yannick. I mean, I still kind of am overall. Like, he's a great dude, but that foot injury is terrible that he suffered in March, that ended his season, that really depressed the chances of the Clippers doing something to end the Kawhi Leonard era. When you look back in hindsight, I mean, it looked like him and Darius Garland were going to have an incredible amount of chemistry together. And they get back from Golden State. They play Indiana. They have this tribute video for Ivica Zubac. And, you know, by halftime, Yannick is getting carried to the locker room and we never see him again. Literally never see him again. So I think that the expectations for Yannick have to be depressed, at least going into next season, because this is the Lisfranc injury is a rare one in basketball. The last time I saw it was Chet Holmgren. And on one hand, it's encouraging that Chet Holmgren bounced back and has been the player that he's been. But I also wonder just a little bit like what he would have looked like without that injury himself. So, and what the Thunder would look like as well, because obviously the Thunder got another lottery pick out of Chet missing his rookie year. So Giannick's not going to be ready to start next season. And when he does come back, he's still a player who needed some more seasoning, needed more development, needed more experience. And so it's not like he's going to come back and it's like, all right, we're going to get the same player that we saw in March when he got hurt. He's going to need time. And as a big in pro basketball, you're learning how to communicate. You're learning what teams are trying to do to you and what you need to do to organize your team. You are understanding where you are on the floor offensively and how that fits and the chemistry that you're working with. Like, you got to rediscover that. He's not going to have an offseason. He's not going to have a training camp. He's not going to have a preseason. Like, by the time he gets healthy and cleared, like, the regular season train will already be going. And so I feel like, you know, the Clippers are going to have to understand that. That's a big reason why Brook Lopez's team option got picked up. So, I mean, the best case scenario is that Yannick can rediscover that form at some point next season, but it won't be, I feel like, at any point in the first half of the year.
Well, we're certainly hoping for that. Yeah, the Lisfranc thing is kind of more of a football injury than a basketball injury. Law, you're the absolute best. Thank you so much for your time. The information's always extraordinary, and just appreciate you, man, and you being there for us here and Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Keep up the great work, Law, and we will be in touch. Thank you again.
Hey, thank y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Law Murray, Clippers insider with The Athletic, joining us here on Beyond the Surface. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, wow. The way he like tells that, the way he told the story of like the Clippers with Kawhi and George, he's a brilliant dude, man. All right, back to our story here, ladies and gentlemen. It is Rick Camlet, Dwight Walton, Ashley Neville. How y'all doing? No Dr. X today, as you have noticed. We'll get him back soon. Dwight Walton, are you ready to talk Raptors? Are you ready to talk about the other side of the Kawhi Leonard trade? Because, Dwight, there's no clock. You're going to go first. For our audience, here's the trade. Kawhi Leonard to Toronto. The Clippers get Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, an unprotected first-round pick in 2031 and 2033, a 2027 first-round pick swap and 2 second-round picks. Pretty good package right there for Kawhi, who turned 35 on Monday. Quite the birthday week for him. Dwight, the question is, are the Raptors a top 4 lock with Kawhi Leonard? Are you locking it up? We know it's a possibility. Everybody on earth knows it's a possibility. Is it a lock?
I can't sit here and say it's a lock. I like the deal, though. I understand that a lot of the Raptor fans, they're 50-50 on this reacquisition of their favorite son. It's not 2019 anymore. It's 2026. As you said, he just turned 35 years old. But over the last 2 years, this has been the most available that he's been. And he's arguably coming off the best year statistically of his career. So what I do like about the acquisition is that this makes the Raptors even more credible Eastern Conference contender. Listen, they lost to Cleveland in a very tough 7-game series. Had they had Kawhi Leonard, I believe they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's how highly I think of Kawhi Leonard. This definitely gives them credibility. And I've been saying it all season long before Kawhi Leonard. If healthy, the Toronto Raptors were going to compete with any team in the Eastern Conference, across the association, let alone the Eastern Conference. What this move does now, it gives them a player that they can count on in a game, specifically in a playoff series. I'm not going to sit here and say he's on the level of Jalen Brunson in terms of being a closer, but Kawhi Leonard has that credibility. A top 4 finish in the East, the Eastern Conference is going to be tough. But I like the Raptors a whole lot better this year than I did last. I believe Toronto finished in 5th this past season. And Kawhi Leonard could definitely make them finish 4th this season. So I like the chances. I love the acquisition. Anytime you could put out Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, Kawhi Leonard, Jakob Poeltl, Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter, players like that, I like what the Raptors are doing. Basketball is once again incredibly relevant back in Toronto and in the country of Canada, where I am currently located. I'm looking very much forward to it. The Raptors are definitely in Eastern Conference contention. But with the Knicks, Detroit, Cleveland, Miami, Charlotte, Atlanta, Orlando, there's a lot of good teams across the Eastern Conference, man. And I'm sure there's teams in the East that I didn't even mention. But the Raptors are definitely in the mix. Top 4 lock, I can't say, because the Pacers are definitely back in the mix as well. I want to see what the acquisition of Kelly Oubre Jr. does for the Pacers. And I want to see how Tyrese Halliburton, who is not only coming off of the Achilles injury, but he also had to deal with something I dealt with back in November, December, shingles. Shingles aren't easy to deal with. And as you can see, he came up with a little bit of a weight gain issue because of the medication that he was taking. So let's see if he has come through clearly from the shingles aspect of his sickness as well. So, but the Raptors, top 4, I can't say they're a lock.
Ashley, are the Raptors a top 4 lockety lock with Kawhi Leonard?
I mean, Toronto gives us the, oh my God, this is scary ceiling, right? I mean, with the addition of Kawhi and what you just named, everyone on that roster, scary defensively, a lot of shooters, a lot of guys who could create their own shots. Top 5, I mean, I could get there. Is it a lock? I don't know. Again, we still have to see what the rest of the East is going to be doing, right? There's still a lot I think is going to be done with Miami. I don't know if Philly's done. Boston, I have no idea. I don't know if they're all completely done. What about the Cavs? What are they doing? They haven't really moved the needle much, but with what they have right now, if we're taking a look at the entire East, I could give them a top 5 lock. Easy. Kawhi Leonard just does that for you. He makes every team that he's on better. And statistically last season, like Dwight said, had one of the best seasons of his career. I mean, he averaged 28 points a game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 50% from the field, 38 from 3. I mean, Kawhi looks like he's still in his prime, damn near, when he stays healthy. So again, this isn't 2019 Toronto, 2019 Kawhi. This is 2026 Kawhi. Is he going to stay healthy? That is my big question for Kawhi. But yeah, I think they are obviously better than last year. We saw them in the playoffs and what they could do with what they had. But having Kawhi, I think, brings them up to that next level. And I love that he's back. It's nostalgic, right? He's going back to the team he won a championship with. And I'm wondering what would have happened if he never left.
Yeah, great question. Maybe another. I mean, they had a crew, man. You had Gasol, you had Siakam, you had OG on the shelf that year, you had Van Vliet, you had Norman Powell. They had a freaking crew up. I feel like I'm forgetting 2 guys. They had a crew in 2019, man. Oh, they had Kyle Lowry, freaking Kyle Lowry, probably Mr. Raptor. All right, so here's my answer. No, I can't. I haven't been this geeked about Toronto in a long time. Okay. Like, do I think they're going to win champion? No, but like, I'm kind of jazzed about the Raptors a little bit. And even last year, there were 5 or 6 all year. I don't know. I'm a big Scotty Barnes guy, but the rest of it quickly seemingly never played. I just wasn't really bought in. Okay. Now I'm kind of like, all right, Toronto, like I'm seriously looking at you right now, okay? There is, but in terms of lock, there is one team in the Eastern Conference, one that's a lock for the top 4. The New York Knicks. That's it. We're talking about a lock, okay? The Knicks are a lock for the top 4. The Celtics were, and then they traded Jaylen Brown. Now they're not anymore. Okay, guys, there are 6 other legit contenders for the top 4 in the East. And sorry, Ashley, I'm not including Atlanta in that. I like their roster. I don't love their roster. I think there's a bunch of teams in the East that are above them. That's how good the East is right now. Okay, but I've got 6 other legit challengers to be in the top 4. So 3 of these teams, right, will join the Knicks. Detroit. Number 1 last year, they're not a lock for the top 4. They have lost ground. I think Detroit's had a terrible offseason, okay? You're going to overpay Duren. You have John Collins in the Tobias Harris spot. John's maybe a little bit more talented, but he's not rugged in a dog like Tobias Harris. He hasn't been through the wars like Tobias Harris. Kevin Huerter is now your starting 2 in Detroit on my depth chart. So you don't want to pay Norman Powell, but you give new money to Kevin Huerter? Are you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? What's happening? Boston, we talked about it the whole show. They've lost major ground this summer. Cleveland, they haven't even made a move yet, but they did let Dean Wade go. And I did like that. Okay, Toronto, way better. But can I say lock? No. Philly, way better. Philly's looking pretty lockish, okay? But it's still kind of hard to say because of Joel Embiid and the injury bug, all right? But getting Anthony Simons, like right now for me, Philly's number 2 in the East. I'll tell you that right now. They have vaulted above Boston, all these other teams, okay? And then Indiana. Can I say Indiana's a lock for the top 4? No, I feel like they're going to be there, though, but I can't lock it up because Dwight talked about the stuff with Halliburton, and God bless him, I hope Hallie's Hallie again, okay? And then I'll put a little cherry on top, a little bonus added for you. My top 4 prediction in the East. Obviously, we still have some moves to make, but I think that the general construction of these teams is in place, right? My top 4 prediction is New York, Philly, Boston, and Indiana. And you say, Boston, well, you've been killing them the whole show. They have that guy, Joe Mazzulla, okay? Joe Mazzulla's a magician. So let's move on here. We got to talk Ja Morant, okay? This will be our last untimed segment, but if you can, try to just bring it in a little bit. All right, Ja Morant to Portland. Grizzlies are no longer the boss of Ja. So the Grizzlies get back Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. Some facts on Ja. He's played 79 games in 3 years. Oh, I can't believe how bad that is. He's 26, 2 years left on his contract at about 87 million. Will Ja Morant be the number one option? Will he be the 1A, as everybody likes to say, in Portland? I want to go to Ashley first on this. Will Ja Morant be the dude in Portland? You have Denny, you have Dame, you've got a stacked roster. Is Ja going to go there and be that dude like he was in Memphis?
Hell no. Dame time. This is Damian Lillard's team. Did we forget what Dame is all about? Yeah, I know you're probably going to take Denny. I'm taking Damian Lillard. This is his team. I think you guys are forgetting what Damian Lillard is able to do on the court. Okay. I know that he had 1 year off because he got injured.
Dwight Teller, we're not forgetting.
He's forgetting because he's already on the Denny Avdia train. But I'm not going to allow one great season, okay, taint the overall broader picture of everything Damian Lillard has done in his career. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Now, was a Ja a good pickup? Yes. Do I think that they're extremely guard heavy? Absolutely. But to your point, he's injured. So now they have multiple guards to back him up. So I'm not mad at it. But Damian Lillard, to me, has earned that respect. It's Dame time for a reason. And, Ja's going to have plenty of opportunities. And he might lead them on some scoring nights. There might be some nights where Dame wants to sit out to rest. We don't know exactly what Dame's going to look like when he comes back. He's had a full year off. So I think there's going to be those opportunities for Ja Morant to be the number one guy. But this is Damian Lillard's team. Let's not get it twisted. It's Dame time, baby, all the way. Ja will play maybe a 1B, 1C type of a role. But right now it's Damian Lillard.
All right, Dwight. I just saw the smile.
Nah, Ashley, I love you, but even Damian Lillard will tell you himself that Denny Avdia is the 1A, the alpha dog for the Portland Trail Blazers. The Portland Trail Blazers have made a complete organizational shift. Damian Lillard's on the back nine of his career. Yes, he's going to be in great shape. He's had a full year to fully recover to what I call, outside of a spinal injury, the most debilitating injury any elite athlete can suffer, being the Achilles. It's an awful injury, but even Damian will tell you himself that the Blazers were great last year because of Avdia. And I think Damian Lillard is simply going to want to be a part of the transition that the Blazers are going into here. As Rick said, 79 games over 3 years. Again, we could talk about the off-court issues that Ja Morant has had in the past, but his issue, as far as I'm concerned, is not that, is that he's never available. And the way the Blazers have built their roster, I can see them keeping all of the guards that they have, not only because of the injury concern to Ja Morant, but they're trying to compete with a San Antonio Spurs team who they went to 6 games with, and an Oklahoma City Thunder team who basically has a whole plethora of players and wears plug and play, as far as I'm concerned. So if you can somehow convince Drew Holiday and Scoot Henderson to come off the bench, and as the reports have stated or indicated from Chris Haynes from NBA TV and the other places that he works for, they're talking about Ja Morant and Damian Lillard starting in the backcourt. So and then to have Shaedon Sharpe come off the bench as well. I like the depth that the Portland Trail Blazers have currently, and they can go toe-to-toe with the Thunders and the Spurs of the world in terms of depth, youth, athleticism, and versatility, specifically defensively. And they have one of the better offensive rebounders in Donovan Clingan and one of the better rim protectors in Donovan Clingan. So to me, they have a roster that is built for today's NBA. Ja will not be the 1A. Ja will be in the mix, but I think it's clearly, as far as I'm concerned, Denny Avdia's team. He's the 1A. He's the alpha dog. The ball will be in his hands, and Damian Lillard will be a great second, third, or fourth option for the Blazers next season. I think he's going to fit in. He's not going to want to rock the boat. Yes, that is Damian Lillard's franchise. He's happy to be back in Portland. He laid his roots and his foundations there with his family. I get it, but he's coming off a tough injury. I think Denny Avdia will be the 1A for the Portland Trailblazers going forward.
I agree with Dwight Walton.
I think we've lost Rick. His Wi-Fi or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if Damian Lillard would say that, though. I'd have to ask him myself to see if he would say that.
True, Ashley. You know what? You're right. Because at the end of the day, he still is Dame time. He still is Damian Lillard. But
yeah,
I just think the way Denny played last season, he was an all-star last season. He was the engine last year behind the Blazers. And the Blazers, they gave the Spurs a tough first-round playoff series. So that's why I think Dame is just going to allow that to continue. He will have his moments where he takes over for Denny in certain games. But at the end of the day, this is Denny Avdia's team right now.
So
back, Rick?
I appreciate you guys. I got booted off.
It's happening again.
Is everything okay? What is
You're freezing still a little bit.
Man, well, that completely
we're
sucks.
freezing because of
B-Dot in here right now.
That's why we're freezing. It's Dot's fault.
Nah, don't put it on me. It's not on me.
Oh, his Wi-Fi looks perfect. Crystal clear Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Well, what would we say? Rick has the Temu Wi-Fi. Rick's got his Wi-Fi from Temu.
Uh-oh. Now Temu taking astray again. Sheesh, man.
That Dubai Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Rick, but we were talking about whose team is it in Portland? Who's the number one option? B-Dot.
Who do you
is
think,
it Dame, Denny, or Ja?
Denny's the number one option. Ja the third. Ja still got to. I mean, because bro, I seen on a podcast the other day, that Charlie Villanueva podcast. Charlie was saying about how Dame is not even going to score 20 points. He won't even average 20 because he's going to be the third option. And Theo Spence was like, "You're crazy. Like, Dame can go out and still get 20. Dame is still going to be Dame." And Charlie was like, "Well, he's coming off, an Achilles, et cetera, et cetera." Don't forget, Dame just won 3-point contest without playing out one game. Now he has two main ball handlers that can get him easy catch and shoot shots. And if he's not the second best catch and shoot or shooter in the league outside of Steph Curry, then I don't know who is. That's an easy 12 points for Dame. Dame can easily catch. He can average 3 threes just off catch and shoot threes because those two guards attack the paint the most. Denny Avdia was probably top 3 in the league in paint touches in terms of attacking the basket. And he averaged 6 assists. Now you got John Morant, a fresh John Morant looking for something to prove. You think he's not going to be able to kick that thing out to Dame, and Dame's going to be able to knock down those open threes? Easy. He's going to average 20 easy. It's still Dame. It's Denny's team on the court, but it's Dame team overall because Dame is Portland. So I think Ja's going to adjust perfectly fine, and it's going to take a lot of pressure off him because he's now surrounded by 2 elite perimeter offensive players, which he hasn't been his whole career. Nothing against Desmond Bane, nothing against Dylan Brooks, but they're not Denny Avdia or Dame Lillard.
Do we have Rick back?
All right, B-Dot. Yeah, can you guys hear me? Do we have a good connection now? All right,
yes.
Sweet. So, look, John Morant has Ja Morant has competition here, guys. There are two guys on the Blazers who are guaranteed of their spot, their role, their minutes, their usage rate. Two, Denny Avdia and Damian Lillard. Ja Morant isn't necessarily guaranteed. Like, Dame's going to play his minutes. I agree with what Dodd said. Like, he's not the 1A, but this is his team. All right. Denny's the 1A. All right. He's their all-star. The guy went 24, 7, and 7 last year. It's like a low-key LeBron. And you have Drew Holiday, Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe. If Ja's like not making shots, or if Ja's just not playing well, there are other buttons.
We lost him again.
You know what?
So to push, and I think he theoretically, Josh should be the number. Am I glitching again? I just wanted to say that we apologize for these technical difficulties, guys, but I don't think Damian Lillard wants to like go out there and average 28 a game and expend all the energy that it takes to do that. Okay, so let's move on. And it's the Miles Bridges trade, okay? So we've hit on like the big deals that have gone down. B-Dot, I want to get you going first on this. Who won the Miles Bridges trade? And for our audience members, here are the details, okay? The Hornets trade Miles Bridges to the Suns in exchange for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, unprotected 2033 first-round pick. The Suns also got a 2027 and a 20. B-Dot.
The Hornets won the whole offseason. The Hornets are winning the whole offseason right now. Like the shooters they are surrounding Kobe White with, and for him to, average 15 points in 22 minutes, now he's going to get 30 plus minutes. And we get to see him actually run that point. The Hornets won by far. I'm glad I'm happy that the Suns did receive a very quality player. And, they got Luke Kennard too, because they have to replace two 40% plus 3-point shooting players. Grayson Allen, best shooter in the league. Royce does a little bit of everything. That's my boy. And he shoots 38 plus from the 3-point line, and is a hell of a defender. And he had I think he had a game that he had 10 assists this year also. So whatever the Hornets is overdoing in that Hornets nest, they buzzing. They buzzing. The Hornets are definitely winning. They won that trade. They're winning the offseason right now so far. And I put something up on Threads the other day about them being a top 5 team in the East, and I'm getting hell for it. And I'm like, bro, you seen what they did with the squad they had last year. They're only getting better and better and better. And I believe that they'll be a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference.
Hey, B-Dot, Naz Reid is going to be killing it on your parlays next year. Naz Reid is going over. I can't wait for the Naz Reid unleashing next year. All right, we're getting very short on show left, so please put a clock on this 60 seconds, Kai and Jason. And Dwight, you are up. Who won the Miles Bridges trade?
Oh, I'm with B-Dot. Charlotte, listen, again, I know a lot of talent went out with LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges. I get it. But when you can put out a lineup, or just a lineup of Kobe White, Con Knipple, Brendan Miller, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Naz Reid, Musa Diabate, Kalkbrenner. Listen, forget about Diabate and Kalkbrenner. 4 of those people I just mentioned shot in excess of 40% from 3. Charles Lee and the Hornets have a roster built for today's NBA. And on one of the many group chats that I'm on, I made the controversial opinion by saying, who has the better roster, the Hornets or the Pistons as of today? I think the Hornets do, right? In terms of shooting, they check all the boxes. And as of February of last season, they had the most efficient offense in the NBA. I think it's only going to get better. The Hornets are my sleeper team in the Eastern Conference, and they won that Miles Bridges trade.
Ashley, do you agree with B-Dot and Dwight that Charlotte is just sledgehammering all this? Or do you think the Suns won that trade?
I mean, I'm a Phoenix Suns girly, so I'm going to just go with the Phoenix Suns because of that. But I do think they needed to add someone like a Miles Bridges, a bigger guy that can, guard forwards, a guy that can get downhill, a guy that can score, create. I like him. And I'm looking at the Suns roster right now. I mean, you have Devin, Colin, you have Jalen Green, Jordan Goodwin, Luke Kennard was a great pickup for them, Dylan Brooks. And a lot of these guys, we haven't seen them play full strength yet because they were injured for the most of the season. So I'm not going to write off the Suns. I think they've had a decent offseason. Now, is it better than the Hornets? I mean, I think the Hornets have been killing this offseason. But this trade alone, I mean, the Suns also got 2 draft picks back, 2027, 2029. I think the Suns won this, maybe not right now, but long term, I think this could be very beneficial to them, considering they didn't have a ton of draft picks. So now that they do, I think long term, I'll give it to the Suns. Maybe short term, okay, I'll give it to the Hornets.
This is pretty terrible.
Wait, I can't hear you.
I said I'm back DJing in Old Town now. Miles might be able to cover them DJ sets. I'm just look.
Oh my God! Of course he is.
Leave him alone, Dot. Don't do that.
I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, leave him alone. Don't do that.
All of them be going out there and hanging out with Dot.
No, they don't. No.
But Dot, I hear you though. Trust me, I hear you.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Oh man.
All I'm gonna say, he's gonna love Scottsdale. That's all I'm gonna say. Miles is gonna love Scottsdale.
Yeah, he's loved it there before. So he's gonna have a good time. Especially with all
you know what?
Hey guys, before my connection gets weird again, and we got 6 minutes left in show. Let me give you my answer here. The Suns won this trade. The Suns are my sneaky sleeper pick in the West. I love their roster. It's a big-time upgrade for Phoenix at power forward. Last year, their PF was Royce O'Neal, who I like. Now it's Miles Bridges. You have a core 4, Booker, Green, Brooks, Bridges. You did lose 2 valuable role players, Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, but you keep Gillespie and Goodwin. You get Luke Kennard. Your bench is Gillespie, Goodwin, Kennard, Ryan Dunn, and Common Maluwatch. The Suns are legit 10 deep. And to me, they're trending towards top 6 in the West. All right, so let's pivot towards our rants here in like the last 5 minutes. Super quick for me. I was wrong about Walker Kessler. He was not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He played the market correctly. He got the money he wanted from him, not apologizing, but I will admit that I was wrong. Two more things. 2 mandatory moves. The mandatory that will change how I look at that team, and the New York Knicks must sign Andre Drummond, and that is my rant. Let's go to Ashley.
I don't know if I have a rant, but I just want to give another shout out to the WNBA and all the records they've been breaking the last couple of weeks. I mean, scoring Toronto Tempo scored the most points in WNBA history. Marina Mabrey, 52 points, is absolutely insane. And the way she did it. Camille Cardoso, she went 100% shooting from the field, which was absolutely incredible. So the WNBA is in such good hands right now. And anyone that's not tuning in, you are missing out. I'm sick of just hearing the same girls over and over again, but there's so much talent in the league right now. And thankfully, I have Marina Mabrey on my fantasy basketball team. Not to brag, but she's been cooking for me. So I'm excited about that. Obviously, Olivia Miles has been going off. The Dallas Wings have been incredible with Paige, AZ Fudge, Shepard. They've also been cooking my parlays too, I must say. These girls, I won the other night. I won a five leg parlay. And then I won another one back to back. I won 3. So yeah, the WNBA is a good way to also make some money as well. If you actually watch and know what's going on. But shout out to those girls, man. The W is in good hands.
To Liberty too, back-to-back Commissioner Cup champion.
Yep.
Love it. So Dwight Walton, you will go next, and then B-Dot will bring us home, man. Dwight, what you got?
I just want to get back on Brad Stevens. I understand why you made the deal. From a basketball standpoint, we will not understand it. But I asked Jason and Kai to have two statistics to show them on the board, please, if you can. If you're Brad Stevens, you cannot tell me that Derek White had a better season than Jaylen Brown did. This is where the analytics will kill me. And then also, Brad, in regards to your attempt to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, you cannot tell me that because of analytics, you did not want to get rid of Hugo Gonzalez and Baylor Shireman in a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. You cannot convince me of that. But this is a very heavy analytical franchise, talking about Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla, and they have somehow convinced themselves, and they have convinced us as fans, media, and podcasters alike that analytics matter, and that although Jaylen Brown was in the MVP conversation for the majority of the season, and he eventually finished 6th in the voting, you're going to tell me that because he was 11th on the Celtics in plus minus, that Derek White, who had one of his poorer seasons since being a Celtic, was the most important Celtic this season, and that you didn't consummate a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade because you valued analytically Hugo Gonzalez and Baylor Shireman. Listen, I've been around basketball since I was 10 years old. I'm older than Brad Stevens, I think. I'm definitely older than Joe Mazzulla. I have a lot of knowledge. You have to convince me more than that to why things have happened over the last couple of days. Again, I get it from a financial standpoint, and maybe it'll make sense more only if you flip those 2 first-round picks into Trey Murphy from the Pelicans. Then the picture will get clearer. But until that happens, good luck trying to convince me for what you've done over the past couple of days.
Bravo, Dwight. Bravo. I'm like Ezekiel Elliott after a first down. Give me more, feed me. Give me more, feed me, right? All right, B-Dot, bring us home with your rant, man.
Oh, man, this just goes out to all you delusional Lakers fans out there that are celebrating LeBron James's dismissal from the team. You guys are very ungrateful. You guys were trash before LeBron came there. Even in Kobe's last 4 seasons, y'all were trash. All y'all can remember is that 60-point final send-off game that Kobe did. LeBron brought a ring. No matter, it still count. It count in the Lakers as a ring, as a championship. And I bet you guys will, if you didn't count it, you'll be 2 down from the Boston Celtics. So at the end of the day, y'all need to appreciate LeBron. I don't like how he's getting treated and everything that's been going on, because with this squad you guys have now, you're not going to win a championship within the next 10 years. And I mark that and I stand on that. You're not winning the championship with Kessler, Luka, and AR as your main guys. With that, I'm sorry. I don't. That's it. That's all I got to say. And I'm getting hell. I'm getting hell on Instagram.
Before Rick goes, and Dot, that's exactly why LeBron didn't tell them he was leaving. Didn't have no fanfare, no tour, because that's exactly how the fans treated him, and that's why he just left. I'm glad you said all of that. I'm telling you, the fans didn't accept him. That's exactly why he left the way he did.
Hello.
But Luka Doncic throws in the towel, misses 5 straight weeks, tricks off 2 playoff series, and everybody loves Luka. But they can't wait to just bash LeBron on the way out. Laker fans, do better. We love you. Thank you for putting up with my technical difficulties today. For Ashley, for B-Dot, for Dwight, Big thanks to Law Murray, our guest. For Jason and Kai behind the glass, I'm Cam. We love you all. We'll see you next Thursday on the X-Rated Sports Network. This is Beyond the Surface. Peace.